Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Jamal Henderson. I'm honored to be your MC on this wonderful May Day rally. Before we begin, I would like to appreciate the Tilda language justice cooperative for interpretation in the Spanish.
Oh, thank you, Jamal. So, welcome everyone. Bienvenidos a todos. Yo voy a hacer un anuncio sobre la interpretación. I'm going to make an announcement about the interpretation. So, I'm going to do the Spanish first. So, estos espacios se crean con el apoyo de todos. Por favor, comunique cualquier problema por la ventana del chat o habilitando su micrófono. Gracias por crear este espacio multilingüe. We create these spaces with everyone's support. Please communicate whatever challenge or issue you're having in the chat window. And thank you so much for creating this multilingual space with us. Gracias a todos. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again, Lisa. Well appreciated. At this time, I want to thank everybody for coming in, joining us this evening. International Workers Day has a meaning to me as a food service worker and also as a steward here at Local 217 Unite here, and also as a member of the New Hallville Communist Party here in New Haven. It's been a very challenging year in many ways. Through our hard-fought collective power, we defeated Donald Trump, raising the struggle for all our. Let's please begin this rally with a moment of silence in honor of all those we have lost during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also all those we have lost due to police violence this year. Thank you guys for real. Appreciate that. Today we demand systematic change for economic, racial, and climate equity. Enjoy this powerful.
Friends, brothers, and sisters in the struggle for human dignity and freedom, I am here to represent the struggle that has gone on for 300 or more years, a struggle to be recognized as citizens in a country in which we were born.
We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. We who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. Until the killing of black men, black mothers, sons is as important as the killing of white men, white mothers, sons. That which touches me most is that I had a chance to work with people, passing on to others that which was passed on to me. We who believe in freedom
excellent right there. What a beautiful song. Wow. This May Day, workers across the globe are organizing and fighting for dignity and justice against capitalist greed and war. Next is an inspiring presentation of May Day Around the World, created by Art Perlow and narrated by Pamela Muzan and Lisa Bergman.
Have you sung a song for freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Oh, you're a friend of mine.
Around the world, working class people have been on the front lines of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. The workers who provide essential services, health, transportation, food, education, many of whom are women, people of color, and immigrants, are often denied the very services they provide. Worldwide, over 15,000 healthcare workers have died of COVID-19. In Connecticut, 22 healthcare union members were lost. Workers had to fight for adequate PPE, wages, and working conditions. Meanwhile, it was a record-setting year for the world's billionaires, who increased their wealth by $5 trillion.
Around the world, people are fighting back. In Bolivia, the Movement Towards Socialism Party launched an international campaign saying pharmaceuticals must release patents so that vaccines can be manufactured everywhere. In Italy, the No Profit on Pandemic campaign demanded the immediate suspension of patents. Last October, a proposal to suspend COVID-19 patents was blocked by the largest capitalist countries, including the United States. Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are demanding the U.S. drop its opposition.
Socialist Cuba took a different path, developing and producing its own vaccines despite restricted resources due to the U.S. blockade. It hopes to immunize the entire population this year and provide vaccines to other low-income countries. Cuba has the lowest rate of infection and the highest rate of recovery in the Americas due to its system of socialized medicine and community health care. Last year, over 1,000 Cuban healthcare workers helped fight the pandemic in 46 different countries. On May Day, Cuba's Central Workers Union recognized their dedication.
The COVID crisis has not stopped government repression of workers. In Myanmar, workers have been in the forefront of resisting the February military coup. Health workers led the movement against the military regime. Bank employees and truckers have been on strike for nearly 2 months. When workers in Myanmar's largest industrial district launched a series of strikes and protests against the coup, they were attacked by the military. 40 workers were killed.
While the richest man in India increased his wealth by $40 billion during the pandemic, 250 million workers and farmers participated in a general strike. 500,000 farmers blockaded highways leading to the capital to protest a new law that gives greater power and wealth to the multinational agro industry. Farmers' unions led by the Communist Party of India played a major role. In South Africa, the Public Workers Union is organizing against privatization, which has been increasing during the COVID crisis. In Indonesia, 2 million workers went on strike against a new law that allows workers to be hired indefinitely as temps and put the interest of foreign investors ahead of workers, communities, and the environment. In Turkey, workers protested the anti-worker policies of the leading online food delivery company, now owned by a German monopoly.
In this country, the pandemic exposed the inability of U.S. capitalism to resolve the systematic crisis of inequality, racism, healthcare, and environment, which have produced an economic catastrophe for millions of families. During the pandemic, the wealth of America's billionaires grew by $1.3 trillion, and 55 of the largest corporations paid no federal income tax. This May Day, Black, Latinx, immigrant, Native American, Asian Pacific Island, and young people in unions and community are joining together in new ways to organize, march, and rally to demand basic human rights. They are not taking no for an answer.
As Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos rode to the top of the billionaires list, Warehouse workers and drivers began to organize. More than 2,000 Amazon workers in Bessemer, Alabama, responded to speed up and unsafe working conditions by signing union cards. Their effort was supported by members of Congress and even President Biden. Aided by Alabama's notorious anti-union environment, Amazon prevented a union victory for now. But the labor movement and Amazon workers declared, "We're not going away."
In Italy, Amazon workers staged a 24-hour strike, uniting all 40,000 permanent, temporary, and contract workers. Amazon workers on Chicago's South Side staged a one-day strike over understaffing and excessive hours. Workers at Amazon are not alone. United Airline workers protested potential layoffs and subcontracting after the company received billions in COVID relief and agreed to pay millions in bonuses to its top executives.
The Amazon union election focused attention on the campaign to pass the PRO Act, Protect the Right to Organize, which would stop union busting tactics used by big employers like Amazon. Unions across the country were on the phones and in the streets for a week of action from Workers' Memorial Day to May Day. Organized by the AFL-CIO, their message is clear. All working people are entitled to living wages, basic rights and dignity on the job, regardless of where we were born, what language we speak, and what faith we practice. This May Day, we are calling on senators to pass the PRO Act and immigration reforms that will ensure all workers can join together to demand rights at work.
The combination of much higher deaths from COVID in the Black community and the public lynching of George Floyd by police sparked huge multiracial Black-led marches across the country. The Black Lives Matter upsurge continues with heightened awareness of systematic racism as a working class issue, not only in policing, but in employment, housing, education, and healthcare. The issues of climate justice and the need to cut the military budget are part of this movement as well. In February, Naugatuck High School students walked out in protest of racial posts by a student whose father is the local chief of police. In New Haven, a caravan and march in New Hallville called for an end to gun violence and police brutality and to tax the rich. They demanded state and federal relief for communities of color impacted by COVID-19.
On Martin Luther King Day, immigrant workers at the Highway Service Plaza continued their struggle against low pay, lack of benefits, and management abuse. This month, 2 workers won back pay. Immigrant groups are leading a fight to expand Husky health coverage to include all undocumented residents. The struggle to pass the bill is escalating. Following a series of mass demonstrations, the New York legislature then passed a $2.1 billion fund to provide payments to hundreds of thousands of immigrants.
While Connecticut's billionaires saw their wealth increase, Connecticut working families face loss of jobs, income, childcare, and healthcare. Many thousands are facing possible eviction and foreclosure. Faith, community, and labor organizations joined the Recovery for All coalition to win a state budget that invests in vital public services for an economic recovery that benefits everyone, not just the wealthy. Dozens of low-wage healthcare workers, immigrant workers, and clergy gave moving and courageous testimony at the public hearing in March for bills that would raise $3 billion by taxing the wealthiest residents.
200 state healthcare workers, community partners, and elected officials marched for a moral budget, calling for a long-term care workers' Bill of Rights. Yesterday, on May Day, 500 people demonstrated at the governor's mansion, demanding full funding of human needs. The rally stood in solidarity with SEIU 1199 union members who may strike at 50 nursing homes for safe conditions, living wages, and benefits. They called on the governor to act on the side of healthcare workers, mostly Black and Latina women.
In New Haven, Yale University's endowment increased to $31 billion during the pandemic. This Wednesday, 5 at 5 p.m., A huge caravan and march organized by the unions at Yale and New Haven Rising will call on Yale University to negotiate a fair contract with 5,000 union workers, make a substantial payment to the struggling city budget, and fulfill its pledges to hire 500 workers from communities of need. This is a campaign to change the map and overcome 80 years of redlining that continue to victimize communities of color. Yesterday on May Day, the words Yale Respect New Haven were painted on the street at Grove and Prospect. A march for immigrant rights demanded that Yale pay its fair share.
This May Day, there is a determination not to settle for crumbs, but to expect big-scale transformative change. We join with the workers around the world. Hope lies in our struggles. Safe and free vaccines for everyone. Workers of the world, unite for an equitable recovery for all.
The international working class shall free the human race.
Throughout this May Day rally, we will put forth demands and actions. After the program, all the actions will be emailed to you. The first action is to call on our senators to make the PRO Act a top priority. Support our heroes. Pass the PRO Act for the right to organize and end the filibuster in the Senate. We have a powerful panel this evening to highlight what we need to do to win an equitable recovery for all in Connecticut. Poya Garami, director of the Amazing Recovery for All Coalition, that has been organizing rallies every day all over the state, will open this evening's panel. Poya has been an organizer.
So much for me. It's an honor to be here with you all, celebrating May Day, a holiday that's near and dear to all of us. I'm here to represent Recovery for All. Thank you, Jamal, for the great introduction. We're a coalition that brings together nearly 50 labor, community, and faith organizations across the state, and made it in a long mission to eliminate the systemic inequalities that are dividing us in Connecticut for so long. This we're for an equitable state budget to invest in all the services that our communities desperately need right now. As all we're living through a truly unique moment in history, a moment when multiple crises are intertwining at once and creating enormous suffering for millions of work people of every color around the world. So if we want to fund our future, then because the tax structure is deeply broken and deeply unequal, and it's blocked progress in the state for many years, we need greater revenue and equitable revenue to fund our future. Our current tax structure, it just reflects and fuels the extreme inequalities that have continued to grow in Connecticut over the last few decades, long before the crises over the last 14 months. We are the wealthiest state in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, but it's also the most unequal state, with a huge gap between the folks at the top and everyone else, with an unconscionable level of racial segregation. In many ways, Connecticut is really a microcosm of all the injustices of racial capitalism in America right now. So today, we've got to ask ourselves a question: what kind of recovery are we going to have in Connecticut? Not just this year, but over the next 5 or 10 years. Is it going to be another recovery for the few? Or is it going to be a real recovery for all? A recovery where working people, especially working people of color, have the chance to thrive and have the power to make key decisions about the future. So our coalition, of course, is fighting for a recovery for all. And we're so proud to People's World and CPUSA in this really important struggle. Over the last few months, we've been doing a bunch of mass actions to fight for our cause, as you heard during that wonderful presentation before me. We had 300 people testify at the public hearing before the Finance Committee. And we've done a ton of direct actions in the street because, of course, that's the most important thing if we want to win. Just this last week, we had a week of action that included things like in Bridgeport, Generation Now, 1199, and the CEA anchored an action to demand greater mental health services in our struggling communities, especially communities of color like Bridgeport. On Friday, all the public higher ed unions statewide came together for a march from Capital Community College to the state capitol. And of course, again, as you heard yesterday, we just had an incredible May Day action with such great energy, where 500 people rallied in front of the governor's mansion, including a lot of members of 1199, who, as you hear, are in a really important struggle right now. And these actions are really paying off. The Finance Committee put out a very progressive package that would raise $1 billion in revenue, using many of the proposals that we've been advocating. Governor Lamont has threatened to veto this package. So over the next month, we really got to fight. So on May 17th, at 5 p.m., we're going to be rallying as many folks as possible in front of the state capitol in order to demand this vision of recovery for all. And we hope to see all of you there. Thanks so much again for having me, and happy May Day.
Wow, thank you again, Poya. We appreciate everything you and the Recovery for All Coalition does for the state. And at this time, I want to call on our second action, which is to turn out thousands of union members, community members, and faith-based organizations for a huge rally at the state capitol, once again on May 17th for Recovery for All. No cuts, no layoffs, tax the rich. And at this time, we will hear from Angel Hawes, a member of 1199 New England, and also a leader at one of the home care workers.
Okay. Hi, how y'all doing? My name is Angel, and I'm calling out of Ansonia, and I am a PCA. And working in the homes is very scary for our PCAs and home care. It's just the disrespect that we're going through, and they say we essential, but we're not. We strong, for one. We stick together, and we always fighting. And I was one of the PCAs that took a rest back in February at 5, not paying some of our members and just totally disrespecting us. And like I tell everybody, I'll do it again, because this is something we are fighting for. We shouldn't have to fight, but we have to fight because they're not going to give it to us free. And yesterday was just a beautiful day, beautiful. And if you wasn't there, it was like we was in heaven. So we're fighting, and to be joined with our brothers and sisters around the 1199 and teachers and stuff was wonderful. And then on March, we delivered the casket to Governor Lamart's house and to DSS. And we mean business. We had people that passed in our union, and they still say we are essential. We're not essential. It's just the disrespect all around the corner. They want to give us no health insurance. People is dying. They don't want to give us raises. They don't want to give us sick time. Like, how can we take care of our clients if we are sick? That means we are forced to go to work sick, and that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. So I'm still fighting, and I can't wait for May 17th. I think it's another few days that we are supposed to go out. I'm there. I'm going to fight until we get what we need, until Ned Lamar listen to us. Because we're going to make our address his address as Solidarity 1199. And thank y'all.
Wow. Very, very powerful testimony, Angel. We just want to let you know that we stand in solidarity with you, the 1199 members, and also the home care workers. You guys are very essential. We appreciate everything you guys do. At this time, we would like to call on our third action, which is to stand in solidarity with the nursing home workers as they prepare for a possible strike at 50 nursing homes across Connecticut for decent wages and benefits and safety on the job for themselves and for their patients. So once again, we stand with you guys in solidarity. We appreciate that, Angel. At this time, we would like to hear from Mrs. Connie Sims. She is a medical assistant at UConn Health. She's also a union representative for cardiology with UHP AFT Local 3837, and also a member of the Union Rep Assembly.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that, Jamal. My name is Connie Simons, and thank you for having me here today. I just wanted to let you guys know, well, I've been with UConn Health for over 13 years. And working with UConn was exciting for me. And to be honest, I didn't know much about unions when I first began. So after joining as a union rep, I learned so much about how the unions work together. And I've worked in other hospitals before coming to UConn, and basically you know what you're required to do and what you sign up for. So some of the struggles that we face is the administration trying to take away our basic rights as employees. They're trying to take away our personal time. They're trying to take away our comp time. They're trying to lump all our vacation time into one pool. And I know that other hospitals have already done this that are not unionized. And this is not what's wanted at UConn. So some of the ways that the unions are consistently fighting for us as employees, they know that our fight is to save lives. And, you know, these times haven't changed. When it comes to our pay, the unions have been fighting for wages that we deserve. And if it wasn't for our unions, we would not get the real living wages that take care of our families. If it wasn't for our unions, people will be terminated at the advice of the managers, and they have been advocate for people deserving to keep their jobs. If it wasn't for our unions, we would be at the mercy of our employers to give us any medical packages that they find cheapest for us. And our unions have been fighting to keep our medical benefits the same that we're able to afford even in retirement. So as we were facing difficult times, there was no transparency when it came to the future of our only public hospital in the state of Connecticut. There are many of us who believe we are not part of a community because there's issues that need to be addressed. Many of them are not forthcoming to speak out because of retaliation or being alienated for doing the right thing. So when the pandemic struck the world, UConn stood together. We stood together. There were frontliners who worked without complaining, even when we were tired or even terrified because of what is unknown. We have seen so much heroism with the doctors and the nurses, the medical and nursing assistants, to environmental facilities and even food service workers. We are all essential and deserve to be acknowledged. While some facilities were closing, UConn opened up 3 new units to accommodate the influx of patients that were coming in with COVID-19. All the unions worked together for the greater good of the patients. Everyone worked in solidarity, and it took a lot of courage and strength to wake up and go to work and even pick up extra time with shortages that took many away from their families. Meanwhile, in other patient care facilities, employees suffered by being forced to work with inadequate PPE, unsafe conditions, and putting their families too at risk of contracting the virus. While UConn fought for safe patient ratios, other facilities were overwhelmed with patients and workers being stressed because of staffing issues. Some people I personally know was laid off, and some of their positions were eliminated from their hospitals because of the crisis. If it had been said to still, UConn is still talking about privatizing to the governor. This doesn't sit well with us workers, and we work tirelessly to save lives. And it's a slap in the face to all of us who've been dedicating ourselves to working here at UConn. And we need the support of all who value the dedication to people working to save lives and taking care of their own families. So policymakers need to be demanded with urgency to keep UConn a public hospital and promote collective bargaining powers for the greater good. I once heard that one finger can't make an impact, but if you ball up that fist and it can strike a mighty blow. So being part of UHP has shown me that all unions must be that fist. Standing together, fighting for the greater good will keep UConn a great place to work with the best care possible. So I want to thank you all for coming and listening and supporting, and just know that we are our best advocates. Thank you so much.
Mr. Simmons, thank you. Thank you. And we also want to stand in solidarity with you guys. We just want to let you know that, Mr. Simmons. So we thank you again for that powerful testimony. Our fourth action is the lead, is to stand with the workers. No privatization of state services. These people are heroes and they're not zero. Our next panelist is Katia Daly, healthcare campaign organizer, Connecticut Student for Dreams, and coordinator for the Husky for Immigrants Coalition.
Thank you, Jamal. Hello, everyone. As Jamal just introduced me, my name is Katia Daly, and I'm the healthcare campaign organizer with Connecticut Students for Dream, which is an undocumented youth-led organization that fights and advocates for the undocumented community in Connecticut. I'm also a leader for the Husky for Immigrant Campaign and Coalition, which is an effort by different organizations around the state that advocate and fight for policies to expand healthcare access to all immigrants, regardless of status, and open eligibility to the Husky healthcare program. So in Connecticut, our undocumented community is prohibited from buying into the Access Health Connecticut and are ineligible for Medicaid, Medicare, and other state and federal health coverage programs. Undocumented immigrants can acquire insurance through their employer, and private insurance companies routinely deny healthcare insurance to individuals solely because of their immigration status. And we also know that private insurance are super expensive for our communities. As a result, the health coverage options for undocumented families are severely limited, and most of them cannot seek the proper healthcare they need due to the combined factors of their status and inability to pay. With 120,000 estimated undocumented immigrants in our state, this is a massive public health concern, especially during this pandemic. So what is the Husky for Immigrant Coalition doing to tackle this issue? So we have been fighting for the bill SB 956 that is coming, and it has passed the Human Services Committee. And this passage has come as a momentum in increasing for healthcare access for immigrant communities now in the state. At an over 12-hour public hearing for the bill, over 250 individuals submitted testimony in support that day. That day, community members, grassroots organizers, healthcare workers, and allies came together to show legislators the importance of passing this bill. SB 956 will be a bill that will expand the Husky program, Husky Aid through D, to our undocumented families. At that day, at the testimony, we heard stories of undocumented mothers that had miscarriages due to the inaccessibility of prenatal care. We also heard stories of an undocumented man who had to ration his diabetes medicine because he had the choice to pay for food or for his medicines. So these stories are very much highlight the life to death situation that many undocumented families have to go through each day due to the inaccessibility to healthcare. And we are in the next stages of SB 956. It passed on April 1st, the Human Services Committee, and unfortunately, with its language of the bill, it's attached the appropriations portion of it, which has to be provided funds for this expansion to actual work. And last week, we heard that we had some disappointing news that the Appropriations Committee did not put any funds apart for any expansion of Husky for our community. And this is unacceptable, as this community is the most vulnerable now more than ever during our pandemic. And most of them are working in essential jobs as farm workers, people at the grocery store, and even sometimes as cleaning ladies or people in the hospitals. This is why we demand the Husky program to be expanded itself for everyone. And we also want to make sure that we are calling out our legislators to make sure that this is a priority, as lives are literally in their hands. And we know that if this bill passes, this is just a step forward to providing healthcare access for all. The fight continues, as we know that we need to make sure that we're ensuring quality of healthcare that sees us as humans and not as symptoms, that understands that cultural competence needs to come with our healthcare providers, and that we know that it needs to be affordable, accessible for everyone. And if you'd like to learn more about our campaign and know how to get involved with us, please, we have a Facebook page. So I will welcome you to follow us and learn more about our campaign. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you again, Katya. We appreciate everything you guys are doing. Once again, we stand in solidarity with you guys also. So our fifth action is to demand that the legislator pass HB 956 to cover all those who are undocumented, the Husky for Immigrants bill. And now we will hear from Lionel Graham, who works at Yale Medical School and has just been elected to the executive board of Unite Here Local 34, representing clerical and technical workers. The Yale unions are in the midst of a difficult contract negotiation.
Hi, my name is Linnell Graham. I work at Yale Medicine in the Care Center for Bariatrics, Colorectal, and Digestive. My story is pretty simple. I've lived in New Haven all my life, born and raised in New Haven. I am a homeowner in New Haven now. I am a mother of two. I work at the university. My husband, my mom, my sister, and my in-laws all work at the hospital. So I have been a Yalie before I even worked at Yale. My sister, my brother attended Hill House High School in New Haven, and my children attend New Haven schools. The thing that we want the university to understand is they need to pay their part. They take up a huge portion of our city, and they do not give back to the community. And what they're threatening is our jobs. They're threatening to lay them off. They are not guaranteeing us job security. They have pretty much said that they would outsource. They're not giving us the verbiage in our contract that will promise that these jobs will stay here. We need these jobs to stay here. I live in New Haven. I pay taxes in New Haven, and we need our jobs. We have over 200 people that work in just the care center alone, where we give awesome care to our patients. And I don't think that what they understand is when you outsource, an outsourced person cannot explain to someone how to get to parking. An outsourced person cannot explain to someone how to make it in the building, where to go for lunch, where the hotels are, the best places to eat. That's something that we can do. We give one-on-one care to our patients at all times. We take it very seriously, and we give 100%. And Yale needs to do the same, not just for our jobs, but also for our community. Like I said, I was born here. I have not seen Yale give anything back, anything worth bragging about, anything worth even telling others about, and it's an embarrassment. It's right here in our city. These people come from all over the country to go to an Ivy League school, and our own children, which are right around the corner, don't have enough for lunches, school lunches. The schools, when it was time for COVID, they did not give back. They did not do their part, in my opinion. A lot of our schools need to be had to be redone as far as ventilation systems. Yale did not help in that process. And Yale has a very, very, very high, they do not pay taxes. They do not pay taxes in our city. And the amount, if they just pay taxes, will be such a big relief for us, and not just us as workers, but our community. The biggest thing about me being on the board that I take pride in is not just that I work for Yale, because we have people that go, come in and out and live in other areas, but I live in this city and I work in this city. So the people that I take care of are the people that are also my neighbors, they're my friends, and they are part of my community. And we want Yale to do what Yale needs to do. Yale needs to respect New Haven.
Our sixth action is the pledge to come out for the huge Yale Respect New Haven rally in car caravan on March 5th at 5 p.m. at the corner of Grove and Prospect Streets in the city of New Haven, Connecticut. May 5th. May 5th at 5 p.m. I'm sorry about that. Now but not least, we will hear from our outstanding people's warrior in the city of New Haven. Taisha Walkers-Myers is Chief Steward of Local 35 Unite Here at Yale, representing service and maintenance workers. She is the oldest from Ward 23 and serves as president of the New Haven Board of Orders.
Thank you. And thank you for having me be a part of this awesome panel. Like you just heard, I play a dual role. I am the chief steward of Local 35, which is a service and maintenance union, one the longest lasting and standing union here at Yale University. We were formed in 1941 and been fighting ever since. And I also am the president of the Board of Alders. So I'm not going to repeat what my colleague said, but I kind of am. I was born and raised in New Haven, raised my children in New Haven, went to New Haven public schools, and I actually love New Haven, and Yale need to do more. During the height of the pandemic, not only were they not responsive to the needs of the people in the community when all we was asking was for them to help us with some of the people that had COVID-19, our firefighters, our police, they said no until they were embarrassed in the newspaper, and then they changed their tune, which we all know they do that often. But they also, 3 years ago, when we had a major snowstorm, they deemed everybody essential. So we have language saying that if you're an essential worker, this is what happened. Well, lo and behold, the pandemic came. They didn't think that saying all the workers was essential was going to come back, but it did. And we changed our lives. We changed schedules. We fed the children, we cleaned the dorms, we got the utilities running, we did everything to make Yale function. And as soon as it was over, they wanted to come after our two largest departments, which is dining and custodial services, which is mainly minorities, and we all live in New Haven. And they wanted to come after us and come after us hard. They're holding the line, and we're trying to tell them we are not going backwards. We will not stand for that. If they come after our largest departments, we will hit the streets. I think Yale is capitalizing off of a lot of people being out of work. And they think that we are actually afraid to lead our members out on strike, but we're not. If we have to, we have been more than reasonable with Yale. We came to the table being honest, representing our workers, really telling them what we can afford to give up. But it's some things that we have to keep affordable for our residents because we live here. And Yale is not being reasonable. They are not negotiating with us. They are trying to hold the line. They are trying to force our hand. And I think now is the time where we're just going to have to show them that they might have money, but we have collective power and people. We really appreciate everybody over the years standing with us. That's what it's going to take to be the large corporation like Yale. It's time that they start putting their money where their mouth is, start delivering for this community. It's no reason why we have a world-renowned institution in our city and we have kids right down the street that is not making their grade. We have kids graduating from high school and have to take remedial courses in college. It's unacceptable. We have kids that go hungry every single night. Unacceptable. We have no pathways to the middle class in this city except through large employers. And they want to walk us back and have us go back, I'm saying, to 1941, because that's the type of wages they're trying to give the two largest departments. And we're saying, no, we're not going to go back. We're going to continue fighting. We're going to fight through the pandemic and we're going to continue to produce because we love our city. We love our students, but Yale is going to produce too. Because if not, we're going to meet in the street. And, in my experience, the union don't fold. So I guess Yale will be coming to the table or they'll be meeting us out there, but that's what we're going to do. Thank you for having me. Everybody stay strong. We all know the storm don't last always, right? It's always light at the end of the tunnel. We will get through this as long as we have more conversations like this. Keep everybody connected. That's what we got to do. Everybody, people, stand up. Look, we're running this show. We're not letting them determine what they're going to do for us. We're going to determine what they're going to do for us and our people that we represent. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, President Taisha Walkers-Myers. Appreciate everything you do. And thank you so much to all the panelists for powerful presentations and for the everyday work that you guys do, leading for equity and justice for all working people. We appreciate all you guys today. And this is what the People's World, host of the annual May Day rally, is all about. Since 1919, when the paper was founded as the Daily Worker, this publication has stood on the side of working and oppressed people. As we saw on the slideshow, all the struggles spoken of today have found a voice in the People's World. Now a daily online publication, the number of readers has doubled since COVID-19. But the pandemic caused financial shortfall. It is so inspiring that since this problem was made known 2 months ago, such a big supportive response came from all over the country that $105,000 was raised in time for May Day. That includes $6,300 in contributions from readers in Connecticut committed to do their part to keep the voice of the People's World going. So our seventh action is to invite you to go to our donation page for Connecticut People's World at Action Network and contribute as generously as you can. For the duration of the pandemic, the Connecticut People's World printed newsletter shifted to an email edition. We are excited to announce that next month, the printed Connecticut People's World newsletter will resume as an organizing tool in our communities and workplaces. Your support is deeply appreciated. No donation is too small or too large. Now it's time for some music. Legendary labor singer and songwriter Ann Feeney, a friend of the People's World who lived in Pittsburgh, is one who hear her signature song, Have You Been to Jail for Justice? Honoring the courage of workers participating in civil disobedience.
So I want to sing a song about a time-honored American tradition, and that's civil disobedience. Now was it Cesar Chavez? Maybe it was Dorothy Day. Some will say Dr. King and Gandhi set them on their way. No matter who your mentors are, it's pretty plain to see. If you've been to jail for justice, you're in good company. Have you been to jail for justice? I won't shake your hand. Oh, sitting in and lying down are ways to take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Oh, you're a friend of mine. You law-abiding citizens, listen to my song. Laws were made by people, and people can be wrong. Once unions were against the law, but slavery was fine. Women were denied the vote, and children worked the mine. Yeah, the more you study history, the less you can deny it. A rotten law stays on the books till folks with guts defy it. I want to shake your hand. Sitting in and lying down are ways to take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched that picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Have you been to jail for justice? Will you go to jail for justice? Then you're a friend of mine.
Wow. Wow, thank you, Ann Feeney. When we fight together, we win together. And there's one more coming up. Even if today's rally had to be virtual, we could all feel the spirit in our Zoom rooms. May Day 2021, workers of the world unite for equitable recovery for all. The actions and the recordings will be sent to everyone via email. It was great to share this afternoon together. I'll see you all in New Haven on 555 and in Hartford on May 17th. Our last song is Ann Feeney's version of the International in Solidarity, forever performed at a fundraiser for striking steelworkers in Michigan and Canada. After the international song at the end, Alita will play the video of our street painting at Yale on Prospect Grove yesterday. Everybody have a blessed evening.
got a jail.
Arise, ye prisoners of starvation. Arise, ye wretched of the earth. For justice thunders condemnation. A banner flies in earth. No more traditions change to find us. Arise, ye slaves, from horror and thrall. They don't teach you this in the military? Shall rise on new foundations. We have been taught we shall be all. It's the final conflict that we stand in place. The international working class shall free the human race. It's the final conflict that we stand in place. The international working class shall free the human race. In our hands we hold a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies, magnified 1,000-fold. We'll bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old.